10, which I'm going to move up the agenda, which is the Banks Peninsula Community Board report to Council, giving Pam the opportunity to present to us slightly earlier than anticipated, just so that, Pam, you can get off to Akaroa as you need to do. So, Pam and Joan, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Looking forward to hearing about what's happening on Banks Peninsula. Thank you.
Now, I must say how good these screens are up there for us that are sitting in the background looking at them. They're very clear. It seems to have changed just recently, so it's a good new innovation to have. So thank you for the opportunity once again. We've had a very busy week, and I'm just going to cover 4 things: the Littleton Skate Park mural, freedom camping online, and the Banks Peninsula toilets, and public forum, and the importance of public forum and what outcomes there are of public forums. So if we just move to the Littleton Skate Park, as you see there on the left is what it looks like. It's a stunning piece of work done by local artists, local or worldwide, and local artists, well respected by the youth and the community, the graffiti artists, I suppose we could say, in our communities, and hopefully it has been completed. And we hear that there has been some items on Facebook and other good feedback on it, that it has been an amazing project. So to complete that now, we also have the school children, the young of our community, who will be looking at the skate park itself and putting some artwork onto that. Unfortunately, it was cancelled because of the wet weather recently, but it is still going to happen. But I just need to say about this project and the importance of actually our governance team and our teams that are working with us to enable us to complete projects that ensure that we have good engagement with our communities. So this one was one that was a bit challenged at the time, and there was very little engagement with our community. So thank you very much to our engagement team, who have the skills and the ability to pull all the parties together to ensure that that engagement does happen. And I think that it's important that we all use our skills to the best advantage. So that's an amazing project. It has been supported by Southport, who provided some funding for it earlier on, and have recently provided some funding. It's been the skate park has been opened, and now we have an amazing mural there that we will watch, and hopefully there'll be no other graffiti that will appear on it. So it's an amazing outcome. Now this the Freedom Camping Online Community Survey. It's a result of a workshop that the board had, and we and all staff were supportive of us finding out a little bit more information about our community. What were the issues from our community, the Akaroa community, nowhere else, just from the Akaroa community, of resolving this. The survey was worked through with us as well as the board. And so we want things in place that will deal with the new season in 2018-19, so we need things in place by December. So we have an online questionnaire, and just last week, or earlier in the week, I'd heard that there were over 200 that had already completed this survey, which is, when you think of there's a population perhaps of 600 in Akaroa, but much wider population, 200 is a very good completion of surveys. So the library also has been a part of this, because we have a number in our community who find it difficult to complete online surveys, haven't the ability, haven't the equipment to do it, and the library is supporting any of those that need it in the community. So I haven't actually heard of the feedback from that yet, but we will follow up that and see how useful that has been in the process the way through. So the next one is rather a shabby looking toilet block, with a very full container on the side of it. This is obviously from a tourist from the holiday season, when the toilets were well used, and we have trouble with the contract programs for emptying the special service bins that are in the toilets, in the women's toilets. And we have a number of old toilet blocks. You'll see that toilet's not particularly flash looking, and our blocks on Banks Peninsula, across the peninsula, are not in terribly good repair. So we've have asked that in the review of the long-term plan, that we looking at the toilet blocks across the peninsula to decide which ones are more in disrepair than others. It'll be a challenge, but we're just requesting that the funding that has been allocated be be allowed to be given back to the board to look at more of an overall view of them and decide which one we might do. So the next slide is about the Little River Village Planning Committee, and this was a process that we went through just last year, that a small amount of funding, $15,000, was allocated to this particular community and the Diamond Harbour community to look at how they could use their skills, because there are a number of skills in that community, and Janet Reeves is one of those, who's also a council, has worked under contract for the council at stages, about using those skills that are in our community to come up with some good ideas moving forward at little cost to the council, and also working with council staff. And so this particular community have come up with their village plan, and we are asking the council staff to continue working with that community, because they've identified some walkways within that community that they can utilise, and staff are going to work with them. But this is also an opportunity of it's not a deputation and how our board agendas work. It is not a deputation. It was public participation, because all these items are not always on the agenda. So we need those opportunities to be able to talk about those within our community. And this was what this small community took. Little River took 5 minutes. We did have a bit of discretion, but brought it to the table. And it's about sharing. A little bit of money goes a long way. Sharing ideas and getting on with the job. So thank you for the opportunity to present this morning.
And thank you, Pam, for presenting these pieces of information to us. Are there any questions for Pam on the Banks Peninsula Community Board report? Dion.
If you go back, can you just go back to the mural?
The mural?
Yeah, that was really, really amazing. And I think those kind of projects are really cool. But the question I had was, who owns the old Littleton jail site? If you look on the right-hand side, the old Littleton jail, that big blank wall up there.
Andrew, I will have to ask you to answer. Who's?
And I'm not entirely certain. There's some land up there that's owned by the Ministry of Education, and there's some land up there which is owned by us. And there are some, there are some items that are owned by us which may be on Ministry of Education land. We could easily get an answer to that question offline.
That would be quite interesting, because when I was just looking at that photo, I think, given the history of that part of some of my whakapapa were imprisoned there during some of the Pariaka wars. And I reckon 2 feathers would look amazing up there, just a black and white sort of rendition of the 2 feathers, which symbolises peace.
Yes, yeah, right. Okay, well look, it's an amazing part of Littleton to go for a walk through, and I do encourage you to go for a walk. Come to Littleton and have a look at what's there. Walking some of the streets, walk past the new school that's there. It's an amazing site, the new school and the things that they've got around it. Just wonderful.
Can you take that back to your community board?
Thank you, Pam. Yanni.
Oh, just quickly, do you know who the artist was? And is it possible just to...
Decipher.
Right, okay.
Yeah, there was a whole group of them that worked as part of it, yes.
Great.
So it went through
Christchurch artist, but now based in LA.
Cool.
Yes.
That's great.
So we found the ones that would be acceptable to the community and to the youth.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's great.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yeah, no, I was delighted with the outcome for this Littleton skate park, and I've received more than a small number of positive comments from the Littleton community already. And I think for all, as Pam said, the board were a little bit uncomfortable with the way that this had started out. The level of community engagement and the level of community support in the end has been an absolute win, and I'd also like to echo the acknowledgement of our community governance team and engagement staff in the way that this was pulled together. It certainly landed in a far better place than it might have done, and thank you very much indeed for that. And obviously, Pam, a number of issues raised there which are considerations for the long-term plan as well, the Little River planning piece and also the Banks Peninsula toilet blocks. So thank you for that. Now, I'm happy to move that we receive the Banks Peninsula Community Board report. Do I have a seconder? Sarah Templeton. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you very much. And thank you, Pam, for presenting to us this morning. Thanks very much indeed.